And so Billy Graham had arrived from the plane in Charlotte, and he was going out to the limo car. And he goes to the limo driver and he said, "Can I ask you something? I've traveled all over the world. I've never had the opportunity to drive one of these. Would you be okay with that?" And so the limo driver says, "Well, of course, no problem. Absolutely. I'll get in the back." So Billy proceeds to drive along, and here they go. And there was a trooper that it was his first time to set up a speed trap, and he was new, he was a rookie, and he was just so amazed when that limo car started going 70 miles an hour through a 55, and so he goes after the car. And so he pulls over and he goes, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. And he calls his supervisor. And he said, "I know that we always go by the law, but I'm not really sure exactly what we're supposed to do here." He said, "I think that we, give allowances for people that are real important." And the man said, "Well, how important is he? Is he the governor?" He said, "No, he's not the governor." "Is he the president?" "No, he's not the president. More important than that." He says, well, who is it then?" He said, "I don't know." He says, "I think it's Jesus because he has Billy Graham driving the car." Let's clap for Billy. Let's give a standing applause for Billy Graham. Let's honor him, love on him. Let's bless him and his life and his walk and everything that he stood for and his power, clarity. We bless you in our hearts and in our soul. And though his theology was not, I needed something different for me, I needed something more responsible and more accountable immediately, not to wait to some other time. I am so humbled to have known this man and all that he did in the mainstream of asking people, just look at God, would you? Just look at God in your life. And more importantly, someone that dedicated their entire life in the public life, which isn't an easy life, and dedicated to what he believed. Wow. Everybody, wow. Wow, wow. Absolutely. The power of clarity. Wow. It's something that we're always moving into. We're moving forward in. We become more aware the longer we stay in our vibration, the very nature of the power of our words. We learn early on in this kind of teaching, be careful what you say, watch what you say, do what you say. We do all that. We go to all these classes. Be mindful of what what speaks. And I don't know if I'm supposed to say this. And I don't mean to sound negative or anything. We just get immense training. We just get immense training, and then we start to think about, well, maybe it's the tone that we ask for stuff, and maybe it's the energy. Maybe we talk louder when we're praying. Like, can you hear me? We go through these phases of this level of connection for that clarity. We seek it, we want it, we long for it. And at some point in our own evolution, we get to a place of understanding that we are asking by the very nature of our energetic presence all the time. And that everything is coming to us exactly as we need, like the dot game. The next dot comes, the next person comes, the next experience comes. It all comes to us because we're holding this vibration that our ultimate ask is, bring it on, Lord, that which I need to expand, that which I need to be more vibrant, to be more healthy, and goodness, that I might model an abundant life. How cool is that? Isn't that interesting that that's our only thing, is that we're supposed to model an abundant life and show our faces, right? Anyway, I just get really excited about that. When I think of, well, good, let it out. When I think of a couple of mentors in my life, I think of the incredible Ernest Holmes, Dr. Ernest Holmes, and I think about, he said that in our consciousness, so as my friend Ed would say, in our awakening, in our awareness, in our knowing, that we want to get to a place that we're no longer asking for the problem to be solved. We want to train ourselves, because if we live in the place of asking for the problem to be solved, we get so good at it that we have problems to solve, and our problems get good because we have more of them. because we're showing that's our abundant life. Oh, bring on something else that I can solve. Bring on something else that I can call my friends about. This is what we do over tea, is we talk about what's not working and what's not going well. I mean, how many people do you know who go, wow, look at you. You look amazing, you're ageless, and you're awesome. And they go, yeah, but if you really knew what's really going on, I'm just this walking problem, you know. But Holmes says that we get to a place that we understand that we are training our minds, that we focus on what's next. What's my next surprise? What's my next moment? What's coming next? And therefore, we never reflect upon so much of calling in to solve the problem. We call in the solutions of our lives, so we don't have so much time for those problems. And he says that guaranteed mathematically, that is the truth because it is a law. Does that work for you? And then, of course, when we talk about new thought, we're looking at Ernest. Well, we need to bring in Papa Charlie too, Fillmore. And we need to look at one of the things that he said is we get to a place where we look at our own clarity about what we're asking for. And he refers to James 4:3. And it says, ask. And if it is not given to you, you have asked wrongly. And that's how he said it. That's not my southern stuff. That's just wrongly. You've asked in a wrong way. And it's like, wow, whoa. And so you want to check your intention about what you're asking for. I find that in my own life. I find it in other people's lives. Life coaching and counseling is that people are asking. They say it loud, they write it in their special book, they tell people, they say it in their mastermind, and it doesn't happen. It's not happening. On the appearance, it's just not happening. And one of the things is they are praying from their past, not from who they are right now. An old paradigm does not become a truism and reality in your life right now. Yes? Can you wear that for a little while? It doesn't either. So that is an opportunity, because prayers are always answered because it's a law. People give their lives to it. It's a law. It always works. So if your prayer currently isn't answered, look at the clarity and the energy behind that what you're praying for. May want to make an adjustment there. Or look at what part of me comes true that my dream does, you see, so that when it does come, you don't pass it by. So it's that kind of energetic field and that presence. I love, with it being Black History Month, I always refer to the wisdom, I think about it in my own life, the woman that gave me so much courage of the civil rights movement, and that's Rosa Parks. And I think about what she must have been praying for. And every day I think about when she got on that bus, and to her, it still looked the same. Every day she had to give up her seat, every day. And she would still show up. She didn't lay down. She didn't give up. She didn't stop showing up. She showed up, and every day it looked the same. How often do you show up in your life and it still looks the same? You're applying yourself, you're reading new stuff, you're watching something on Super Soul Sunday, you're doing all that, and you're still like, it still feels the same, right? And she stood in that vibration of that power of clarity, and she said very clearly and very specifically, I can hear her say it, this is my seat and I'm not moving. Can you imagine the energy behind that? It's an energy field that we all feel. I have a seat. By the very nature of my life, I have been given this infinite presence of spirit. I can download spirit. I am directly connected to spirit, and therefore my seat is that of a vibrant, dynamic, energetic, powerful, wholesome, phenomenal life. Yes, it is. So, in sharing, and I want to remind you, I know I've told this story before, so you just know I told it before. Some people go, I told that story before. So, anyway, back to topic. When I was 5, I got the calling, and I certainly didn't know what that was, but I got the calling. I was on our farm, and I was walking out under the trees, and I just got this message because I just wondered why I was here. I did not feel I was around anybody that could see me. Up until I was 40, I actually told my mother, it's okay to tell me you were adopted. I was adopted. And we made it a joke, and I'm not trying to make anything wrong. Everybody does the best they could, but I didn't see anybody that could see me. I felt like a foreign something that just downloaded there in that place. And so I got this message of, you're here and you're going to bring a message to the world. Well, for a 5-year-old, I don't really know what the world was. I don't even know if the world was the word. It could have meant past South Carolina, thank you God. That could have been what it meant. I don't know. But I felt that, and I still hear, I feel the wind on my face. Even now, I still feel that pull, that something, the sun shining a certain way, and I go, I'm here to live my calling, and I'm here to be the message. What is that, and what's that look like, and whatever. And then, of course, I went through my own personality of getting hooked, of what does that look like, and making up stories about what that looked like. And I was clear that Oprah would call, and she hasn't. And I was like, well, that means I'm supposed to be on Ellen, and I haven't. And, well, what does that mean? And I would get hooked, and then I would get back into my sacred humility, and I would go, I am a spiritual being immersed by spiritual law, and blah, blah, amen, blah, blah. Well, I was moving along pretty well, and I hadn't been hooked in a while. And I went to John of God, which everybody needs to do at least once in your life. Yeah, hallelujah. And I went to see John of God and to experience the thing. And I was just so happy because I didn't create any kind of agenda about me and J-O-G. I was just clear. I was just going to be there. So I was in the line waiting to meet him, to have an experience I'd never had, and just kind of in that space, the highest and best. And Reverend Diane, who comes here, she knows this story too. She turned around and said, well, I can't wait till John of God meets you. Oh my goodness, when he meets you, he's going to just say, oh my, would you start doing classes here and start teaching? And we'll probably want you to do the morning prayers and everything. Well, here comes that hook. I'm just so in it. I'm beaming, like a sunbeam. And there I go up to John of God, and he speaks Portuguese, so I didn't know what he was saying or anything. I'm still learning English, but I go up and I go, there he is. Well, he didn't look up. He didn't even act like I came by. I could have been anything and anyone or nothing. I go by the line, nothing. I went, well, wasn't that nice? And he said that you need healing. I went, well, thank you for sharing, yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I could stay at home and figure out that. Anyway, and so I don't have enough time to tell you all the amazing things that happened because I'm needing to land the plane on this story. I'm getting nods. So the thing of it is that kind of stayed with me a little bit, and I remembered how I'd gotten hooked by that, and I didn't want to do that again. And so several months later, we had a festival here. And we had psychics that were in the conference room, and they were doing readings, and they came out in the lobby and said, who wants a reading? And I go, I do. So I go in and I sit with this lady. I don't know her. She doesn't know me. We're sitting there talking, and she's doing me a reading, and she said, are you going on vacation soon? I hope so, because girl, you are going in all different directions. I said, yes, matter of fact, a couple of weeks. And she said, do you have another question you would like to ask? And all of a sudden I go, should I ask her why you didn't see me? And in that moment, she reached over across the table and she grabs my arm. She said, wait a minute. Something's coming through. It's John of God. And he said to tell you that he did see you. And keep doing your work. That's what we call a surprise. Yes? A life surprise, a God surprise, a surprise about the moment, the surprise about consciousness, the surprise about life and how that unfolds with us each and every day. You see, the thing for me is that I just couldn't let go. Not because I think I'm all that. It's not about that. For me, it's about my life has ended, I've died. Did I fulfill my seat as a soul? Did I? Was this it? Was it supposed to be this? Was I supposed to build houses in Wyoming? Did I fulfill my soul? That's what it's about. You see, that's that pull that you feel, and I feel that up until even recently, that's a new word, recently, it's when you release yourself in a recent way. Write that down, BB, that's going to preach, okay. It was only recently I really believed that I surrendered. Because to me, surrender meant giving up. Do you resonate? Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means giving in and letting go. Wow. Yes, the power of that. A year or so ago, I met this amazing couple on the radio show, Will Arntz and Deirdre Hayde. And in that moment, as we were conversing, we just felt like our energy would come together. But I think about their lives and the moment as they travel all over now and teach about the element of fundamental and expected surprise in your life. And I think about Will Arntz, who was going to spend the rest of his life as a physicist and came to know Ramtha and attended the School of Enlightenment, and then went on to see how, as a physicist, you know, because a lot of people don't sit around in the afternoon and talk about what's the newest thing you've learned, you know. How do you explain that kind of phenomenon? It's a little bit over our head. And he brought to us the film, What the Bleep, that has changed the world. And it started this whole thing, this genre that would lead to The Secret and all the other films. And he's amazing, Will Arntz. He's with us today. And also Deirdre Hayde, in his beloved, in that she is a mystic. And they're going to stand up later and talk for a moment or two about what they're going to be giving us today, later. But I think about her, that she was going to study anthropology, and she ran into Joseph Campbell. Okay, now that would be a bump, wouldn't it? A divine appointment, and he said to her, you cannot do that. You must be a mystic. You must be a mystic. And when I met them yesterday, she told me everything I've been experiencing for the last 3 weeks. She already knew it. And that's that energetic field that we all want to learn how to come from. So we realize that our asking is being fully present to what's already in front of us. Not looking over here like, could it be over there? But it's right here, that essence and that being. I found it kind of fascinating that when I went on a big engine search for traditional Christianity teaching, and I put in the word surprise, there were hundreds of thousands of examples, and oddly enough, they were all about the resurrection. I mean, I'm sure that'll make a good talk sometime, but I was just like, really? That's the reference of surprise. And then it made sense to me. We often have to die of old ideas, so we may open up to really see from our heart what is really ours to see. So that would make sense. It makes me get excited about getting resurrected, doesn't it you? Like, let's go on, move it on, bring it on, let's go. In a metaphysical explanation for you, some of you still holding on to your roots. I'm just, anyway. Okay. So, all that said, I think we have slides that we can focus on. Anybody know who that is? Who is that? Interaction. We're on live stream. Who is that? Sergeant. Yes, absolutely. And who is that? Anybody ever remember his favorite saying? Gomer Pyle? Surprise, surprise, surprise. What about that, right? How many of you have a sergeant in your life? Commentator. You're living that space of innocence and love. Surprise, surprise, surprise. You know, somebody saying, what? Never happened to me. It's never going to happen to you. Right? Release. Yeah. When you say to anyone in your life how far you want to go, allow them to say, how may I help you fly? not put ropes on you. How may I help you fly? Because you are enough. In closing, Elizabeth Gilbert has a newer book out, Big Magic, Creative Living Without Fear. And she talks about how fear will always prevent us from the surprises. Fear will always keep us from having the unexpected. Fear will always eliminate any ability to be caught off guard. Fear will always be in the way. It has one tone, it has one volume, and it stands for one word, and that word is stop. How could we, in our humanity, use the least favorable aspect of ourselves to dominate our lives? Wow, we are enough, and that's the truth. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.